right?
We're up to what?
By the 2 dots, right?
2 dots, yes. 2 dots, ayin based on the base.
Aaron, some
we're
of us are
going back.
quicker in the pool.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, okay, good. Right, so we were discussing the sugya of a guy who he said that this is a get if the guy dies, if the guy's basically saying if he dies from a certain date, so then it's going to be a get from then. If he dies from that chayli, and then he gets up and he goes and he walks around and he gets sick again. Right, he gets up and goes again. So that's the shaila was. So you have to evaluate whether he got up from this sickness or was it the same old sickness. So that was the shaila. So that was the Gemara. So Amar of Huna. And you see it about 10 lines up in the bottom by the 2 dots based on the base.
Is he muted?
No Kenyan. Yeah.
You were just muted.
No, it's his video that's muted, but Yaakov, the phone is going in and out also.
We're not getting anything through the phone, Thiago.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, but you still got to start again. We missed everything.
Here it is. I went on the phone because I thought that's the better connection, and it hung up on me. Okay, we'll try with this. I don't know what these Fridays in the country are unbelievable. Okay. Anyways, so I don't even know where I got cut off. Anyway, okay, so we said matana shchib meira, right? See, a matana of a shchib meira. So we said that matana is considered a matana because we want the shchib, even if nobody's ever makne, meaning the guy could sit in his hospital bed, right? And he could tell somebody that, oh, I'm giving this present to so and so, and that person's koinet, even though there was no kinyan whatsoever, because of the yishuv adas of the patient, right? Yeah. So Amar Avuna, so Gita, we say Gita is kamatanasai. So a get has the same thing as a matana. Ma matanasai, imamad chayzer. If he gets up, then he's chayzer, meaning with the matana of the shchimera. Let's say the shchimera recovers. So we said, okay, the matana does not go to the person he gave it to. Afgita, it's the same thing with a get. Imamad chayzer. If the guy is alive and he doesn't die from that. What do you call it? From that illness, then the get is also batul. And then we say the opposite. And just like by his get, even though he didn't say that it should be given. All he did is say to write the get, even though since he said to write it. Yeah. So to do, yeah. So even though he didn't tell them, right? Even though he didn't say to give it, even though Amar to do, I forgot the loy konu, even though they're not koine, right? So meaning the matana. Can we shut the door so the music stays out, please? I'm trying to keep Yud as a machmer all the way till Shkia, and you can't get away from the music over here. I'm joking. I'm not trying to keep it as a. But anyway, after. So again, basically, when he gives the matana, the shchimera, when he gives the matana, so if he becomes better, the matana doesn't go to the guy. So we're saying the get is the same thing. That if he gives a get to his wife, if he ends up recovering, the get comes back. It doesn't go to the wife. And then we say the same thing by the present, even though he didn't actually say that somebody should be kind of the present. right? But since he said give it, so then it's automatically kind of same thing with the get, even though he didn't say give the get, he just said write a get. Fine, that's Rav Huna's shita. So Tanan, the Gemara asks, Zeki, take my yom and made some says this is the get today. From this gets up and he goes to the and then he gets sick again and mace and he dies. So we said again, if he gets up, he recovers, right? Then he walks around the street, then he gets sick again and dies. So we have to figure out whether he died from the first illness or the
Who
second illness.
assesses him? The doctors or the Bezdin or the Chachamim?
Probably both. I would say both.
Okay.
Both. I mean, and they'll probably fight about it. No? Yeah. Yeah. So it's V Amritim Omar Chayzer, and if you say that if he gets up, the get goes back, Lamali Umdana. Why do you need an Umdana? Hare Omar, he got up. Meaning, why are you looking for evaluations? The bottom line is the guy got up from his sickness. Right? So that's the kasha. So what it says, no, he never got up. He went from one sickness to another sickness. Right? So we have no idea which sickness he went from. The obvious question is, yeah, it says he got up. So one answers, it's talking about where he got up from this chayli and then he went to the other chayli. Right? Meaning he never, meaning Omad doesn't mean he got up and walked around. It means that he
We changed one Nakuda and it went from Michael, it went to Michael.
Randall, do you know to confuse?
I guess that's one form of it, right? Yeah. Anyway, so Amen Rechayli there, and he went to another. Yeah, you hear me?
I hear you.
Now we do.
You went out for a second.
You went out for a couple seconds, but now you're good.
Yeah, he was blue. You country is what? The top two left. You hear me still? Am I back now?
Jackie, you may have to unplug the crack pad for a little bit.
No, somebody plugged in an iron. Phone's not working. I'm telling you, it's Givaldic. What?
I'm answering your question.
Anyway, so you mean so the Gemara says so. But Omar Katani, it says Omar. So he said Omar Chali Zev. Yeah, throw them again. This is not what. Okay, I have to figure this out. I forget. What time is the early Shabbos? What time is the early Shabbos?
5:30, I believe.
6:30.
I think your brother's davening 6:45.
That late?
6:30 white shoe.
Oh, okay. So it's not so bad.
We didn't even get to today's daf yet.
That's true. That's Paris' line. That's Paris' line.
David, way to be busy today, David.
He's busy in the pool. Someone's got to take his job.
Clock is 6:44.
Oh, I saw it. I saw it flying around. Yeah. Okay. Are we good now? Meanwhile?
So far, so good.
Oh, okay. Well, what time is it? Okay, so we're really both at the bottom. So anyway, so the Gemara says, how could it be Ahmad? Right? He got up. He didn't get up and walked anyway. He went to the Gemara's B'taretz that he went from one sickness to the other sickness. So then what is the Ahmad exactly? Right? Yeah. Okay. So anyways, somebody's got to mute him, please. Aaron, you don't control the mutes?
I did.
Okay, so thank you. But so what says about Ahmad Katani? Ahmad Michali Zeb and Abel Chali Ach. He went from this chali, he went to another chali. But it says he went to the shuk. The Mishnah says he went to the shuk. So how can you say it just means he went from one sickness to another? So what it means is that he went on his cane or his crutches or whatever it is, meaning he never really fully recovered. Now today's daf. Right? What's the chiddush? If he's walking with a cane or a crutch, that's when you need to evaluate him. Idach, right? But if he stays in bed, we don't need an umdana because it's pasha that he never recovered from his first sickness, and memela, the get is going to be a good get. So Gemara says, "Shamas mino," right? So we can learn a chiddush here that a shchiv meira who recovered from his initial sickness and now went and jumped to another sickness is considered one big sickness, and memela matana say matana. His matana is a matana. So the Gemara saying is that what we could say? So the Gemara says in Damar Belazim Shmei Derash Shemirash Nitik Mechayla V'Chayla Matana say matana. Because matana is a good matana. Fine. So that's Shita's Rav Huna. Again, Rav Huna's Shita is that a get is no different than a matana, and it goes both ways. Right? Rabba and Rabba disagree with Rav Huna. Why? Because if we're going to allow this get, so people are going to think that you're allowed to give a get after Misa, which we know get after Misa is no good, right? Meaning, if this guy gets up, right, then people that are going to see.
Did this guy die? No. So why would I think it's a get? Why would I think that this is a get achar misa?
No, he did die. Didn't he die?
No, he was saying he recovered.
No.
Oh, then he got sick and died.
No, we're talking about both. We're talking about both. Right now, the Gemara is going with that he died. The assumption is that the guy died. We're trying to figure out which disease he died from, right? So the question is like this: if midaraisa, right? Meaning midaraisa, if he dies from the first sickness, it's a get. If he gets up from that first sickness, it's not a get. But we're going to say that that's okay. Then people are going to think that there's get achar misa, right? Meaning stamazoif, that people are going to think that if the guy got better, it's not a get. The guy died, it is a get. So you see that a get is lachar misa. Right? I think that's taka what it would look like to people, right? So mamela, because of that, Rabba Rav Huna say that it's not a good get, right? I'm sorry, fakert. They say. Now I'm getting myself mixed up here. Rabba and Rava, they're not holding like Rav Huna. Rav Huna holds it's not a get, right? You're right, David. You're right. We're talking about in the tzad. We were till now we're trying to figure out if he died from the disease. But what happens if he didn't die? So what's Rav Huna saying? The get is nullified, right? Rabba Rav Huna are saying no, the get is not nullified, because if we're going to say the get is nullified, people are going to say, well, look at this guy. If he died, it's a good get. If he didn't die, it's not a good get. So it means it must be get lachar misa. Meaning, is it a good get or is it not a good get? Right? So if you go with Rav Huna, who takes back the get, and he says it's a good get, so then people are going to think this. So therefore, Rabba and Rava both say it's not a good get all the way around. I'm sorry, it is a good get. It is a good get. And Mamela, she can get divorced. I'm sorry for the confusion here. They're both saying that it is a kosher to get. Why? Because now the chiddush with this is if she's really not divorced, right? And they say she's divorced, then we got a problem. How can the Rabbanon go say that mater and Eishes Ish? Right? Essentially, they're matering an Eishes Ish. I mean, they're Maida, Rabban are Maida to Rav Huna's Yisoid, which is that a get is the same as a matana. But they're just afraid that if the people see that this guy, when he gets up from his sickness, his get goes back, right? If they see that, then they're going to think there's yesh get al-chamisa. Because of that, they say it's a good get. So basically what they said is that this woman is an Eishes Ish, and we're going to allow her to get remarried. Right? That's essentially what happened here. So Gemara asks, can you ask such a thing? Really, midaraisa, that's the get is not a get, and because of a gezerah, we're offering Eishes Ish la'alma. Gemara says called the mekadosh is tied to the rabbanon mekadosh. Anybody that gets married, we had this a bunch of times. Then she does it tied to the rabbanon. And the rabbanon took away the kedushin. Right? The rabbanon have the wherewithal to take away the kedushin. That's all good if they were mekadosh with or that, that's what we say Kedas Moshe Yisrael, right? But Kiddush B'Biyah, how do you take that back? A biyah is a biyah. Samalei Shavi Rabbanon lebilas bilas nos. The Rabbanon made the biyah to a biyah nos, and that's also was a biyah nos, which
1 second. One
again
second.
it's not biyah
And
nos.
if they
It's
were,
what we call wedlock.
and if they were Mekadosh B'Kesef, and then they had Bia afterwards, because they were married for 5 years, what about all those Bias?
Tony, I asked this like 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
Yeah, I
don't remember last
who
week.
asked the catch on it.
What are you talking about?
He's asking, meaning Bia, if they get married to Kesef and then they have Bia, so you
Right.
still have
So-
to make all the Bias into Bias Nos.
Why?
So then why is the Gemara only worried about the Mekadosh B'Bia? It's the same issue being Mekadosh
Because
B'Kesef.
they asked kedushin b'biyah. It's not a kedushin.
No, this is before that.
Well, there was-
It's before that.
Yeah. Do I keep?
You're not coming in.
Yeah, you're in and out.
We're not hearing you.
Smoke. Yeah, I'm trying to go closer to. Oh, I thought the music stopped and I started it up again. Oh, yeah.
So Gershon asked this question 2 weeks ago. Does anyone
good
remember the
now?
answer?
We didn't have an
Nope.
answer.
Oh, okay.
I don't think we had an answer for him.
No answer.
Okay. Okay, good. Okay, weiter. So Tana Rabbanon, yeah? I hope I'm not choppy now. I'm very close to the router. So Tana Rabbanon, yeah? Yeah. Are we good? Still choppy or?
No, we hear
Still
you. We hear you
choppy?
now.
Okay,
No,
so
you're
Tama,
good.
Zeh Gittin me. Okay, so good. Thank you. Sorry about all this. So Zeh Gittin me. If a guy says, this is your get from today if I die from this chaylev. Right, so now, basically, he said, this is your get from today if I die from this sickness. And then a house falls on him, right? Or a nachash bites him. So that's why he died, not from his sickness. So now what? Right, till now, we're talking about where the guy got sick again. So we don't know if it was from the first sickness or the second sickness, right? But here, he definitely didn't die from, at least seemingly did not die from the sickness. He died from an accident, right? So, ain't a get, then it's not a get because he didn't die from the sickness. But if he changes the lashon, he says, if I don't get up from this chayil, and the house falls on him or the nachash bites him, then harez a get. It is a get. So now, what's the difference between the two cases? So Gemara says, "Ma'ishna reisha, ma'ishna seifa." What's the difference between the reisha and the seifa? So shilchu mitam, they answered. They sent from over there. They sent from Eretz Yisrael. Achlu ari ein lanu. If we don't have any case, if an ari ate him, right? Meaning, the Gemara is assuming that if he died from an accident, he did not die from that sickness. And Mamela, it didn't meet his qualifications, therefore it's not a get. Right? Fine. So again, as we have a steer on the ration to say, and the Gemara seems, at least from Eretz Yisrael, they seem to be siding with the Manda Omar, who says that that if it's a freak accident, the get is not a good get. He has to die from the sickness. Fine. So the Gemara says, you have a guy who sold Ara to his friend. And he was makabel on himself. The seller, I guess, was desperate to get rid of the land. So he was makabel on himself. Any inus that would happen to the land, he's accepting responsibility. The Saif Afiku Banara, what happened was a river overflowed onto his field and ruined it. Also, so they came to Ravina Amar Zil Shafi, like, go work out a deal, right? Meaning go pay him, really. Shafi means like to give generously. The Hakabila Salach, call on to the Mizyalid. You makabel on yourself all responsibility that would happen to this field. Right? If you opened your mouth, if you gave him such a guarantee, so then you have to keep your word. But who says that he has to accept that? It's an einus to shchiach, right? That can't be what was in the guy's head. When a guy sells something with a guarantee, right, or a warranty guarantee, so what's he saying? He's saying, I'll take responsibility, but in his head, it's only responsibility of normal. What do they call this? Acts of God? What do they call it, right? Acts of God? Not insurance companies. They want to say, we're not covering acts of God. Right? So that's the machlokes here. Rav Acha bar Tachliv is saying to Ravina, how could you make the guy chayiv? This is an act of God. It's a free thing. It's a freak thing. So it was rolling around. I guess that's the Hebrew or Gemara lashon for it was hacked around, right? The tumult became a tumult, right? So it rolled around and finally it got to Rava. It's an einus to shchiach, and he's potter. Not a normal thing. So therefore he's potter. So Ravina l'Rava. So Ravina asked Rava, from this case, if I don't get up from this chayil, nafal alav bias, yakishu nachash, and the house fell on him, or a nachash bit him, harez a get. So then it's a get. So so you see that it is a get, even though it's not a normal thing for a snake to bite, and it's not a normal thing for a house to fall down. So Malay, Rava, Reisha, ain't a get. But you have the Reisha who says that it is a get, right? Seemingly that Reisha and Sefer were steered to each other. Right? Same case, house falls on the guy. This guy says, if I don't get up from this chayla, it's a good get. It's a get, and then the house falls on him. The Reisha says it's not a get. The Reisha says it's not a get. Sefer says it is a get. So you bring the raya from the Sefer that it is a get. That means a freak thing counts, and the Reisha says it's not a get. So see, a freak thing doesn't count. So I'm Ravina. The kasha Reisha Sefer. Just because you have a kasha from the Reisha to the Sefer, you're not going to ask kashas from it. Amrale, he said, yes, even the kasha Reisha Sefer, since you have a stira from the Reisha to the Sefer, lo yitmar bei midrasha. This cannot be that it was said in the Bismedish, because clearly this is a messed up brisa. If the Reisha says the Sefer, then it's a messed up brisa, right? And it's mistaken. Zil basar svara. So then memela. So how are you going to paskin? You don't have any precedence. So zil basar svara. So you go with the svara, right? So it's interesting, right? So basically, if you don't have sources, then you got to paskin from svara. Right? That's what the Gemara is saying. Fine. Rapava, Ravuna, Breda, Rav Yeshua, Zavan, Shumshimi, Agida, and Nahar So they were selling Shumshimin as sesame seeds by the Nahar Malka. Agar Agur Malachi Leberinu. So then they rented out. Malachi is sailors to take the seeds to transport them. And Kabila will I call onto them Misyalid. And they will makabel on themselves the responsibility. Meaning that I guess these sailors did not want to take responsibility. So the people that owned it said, we'll take responsibility. So the Saif is Stakar Nahar Malka. What happened is that it got blocked up. The Nahar Malka got blocked up and they couldn't get their stuff. So Amr Lahu, Agudu, Chamri, Afkinu Nahelan. So they said, Guru Chamri, Afkinu Nahelan. Go rent. The sesame seed owner said, okay, so now your ships are blocked. Get off the ship, get out of the water and go rent donkeys. The Kabil Su'alaichu. Right? You will makabel it on yourselves, meaning it's not the sailor's fault. You have to go get it. It's also Kamei the Rava, Amr Lahu, said to them, Kaki Chivari, white geese. Right? And Rashi says the reason why he called them that is because they were old. Now, I don't know where this falls into the Churban exactly, right? But they told them, you guys are, instead of saying old men, they called them you old. Is this where old geezer comes from? Maybe. Can we say that? I don't know. So Kaki Gari, Mishalchi Glime te Inchi, right? Mishalchi means he's sending off Glime is the shirts of these people. You're taking the shirt off their back, right? It's an Einis delay shchiach. So therefore, the guys that own the sesame seeds would never makabel on themselves responsibility for that. Wonder how often does a river stuff itself up, right? So therefore, they were not makabel on themselves, and therefore they're not mechuyev to pay for the extra transportation, right? I mean, this comes up a lot. Obviously, this question comes up a lot. You hire somebody, you hire a shipper, you hire this, and he says he takes responsibility, but then an act of God happens. So whose responsibility is it? Right? Right. So it's a major shayla.
By the COVID, it happened all over the whole world. Things were delayed and held back and stuff.
Right,
and hundreds and zillions of dollars. I mean,
yeah. So that was the big shayla, that if it's an act of God, then the guy's really not responsible. Right? That's what the price doing. That's what the price were handling was. That is considered an act of God, not considered an act of God. Right? Fine. Okay, so Zok the Mishnah. So now we have this lady who's in limbo, right? She's the guy gave her a divorce. Her husband gave her a divorce, but he said may hayoim or he said may achshav, all the different variables. But the bottom line is she divorced now? She's not divorced, right? Can she go get married to somebody? Right? The get is going to be a get from when the guy gave it to her, but the guy could live another 10 years, right? So is what's the status? So the Mishnah says, she's not allowed to be meyachid with him. Only in front of Adam, so that the Adam make sure they don't sleep with each other, right? Because if the guy dies and the get is limafreya, so that means that she wasn't married to him. Afilu api eved, you could even use a slave as a witness. Afilu api shivcha, you can even use a lady. Chutz mishivcha sa, but you can't use her shivcha. Why not? Shaliba gaspa, since she's very used to her shivcha, she will be mezana in front of her shivcha, right? This gets into the whole psychology of Isur Yichud, right? For whatever reason, I think nowadays it might be fakir, but in the Gemara's times they were chayshed that women have no problem sleeping with men in front of other women, right? And men wouldn't. Men would be embarrassed. I think nowadays it might be fakir, but I don't know. Yeah. But anyway, so that's what we're saying. They cannot be together unless there's going to be people there. Mahi ba'is and the yamin, right? So what is she in those days? Right? So meaning what's the status? Rabbi Yehuda Aimer on top of base now. Rabbi Yehuda Aimer keishes ish l'chol dvareh. She's an eishes ish for everything, right? Memela, when does the get happen according to him? The get happens right before death. So if she's mezana, so then she's going to be chayav as if she does it amazing. Rabbi Yossi, at least what the Gemara says now, the Mishnah thinks now, the Gemara is going to change Pshat. But right now we're thinking, what is she in that during that time? So the first sheet is that she's an Ashes. If for everything, if she's Mazana, she's done. Rabbi Yossi, Aimer, Megareshes, Vena Megareshes, she's considered divorced, then she's not divorced, meaning she's Nishta and Nishta, she's somewhere in the middle. Right? So therefore she cannot go. She's going to bring, well, the Gemara is going to say in tomorrow's stuff that she brings an Asham Tali, because we have no idea. If she's Mazana, she brings an Asham that says if she was married, then she has to bring the Asham. If she wasn't married, then she doesn't have to bring it. Right? So Tana Rabbanon, the Gemara says Tana Rabbanon, Ru'ush and Siyata Ima Ba'afela. Okay, so there's another thing that we have to learn. There's something called a Get Yashon, which the Sugi is a little later, but it gets involved here. Get Yashon, it means it's an old get. So basically the halacha is that if a couple sleeps together after they get divorced, then are we chayshid that reason why they had the bia was to get remarried? And if they were, now she needs a new get, right? So the shaila is, what happens if we see them being beyichud with each other? So what's the story then? So that's what the Gemara is talking about. So let's say we see them having yichud in a dark room. We see them both going to sleep together under a bed, right? So ein chayshishin shema nisaska b'davar acher. We're not chayshish that she's Isaac in something else. The chayshishin mishum nus, but we are chayshish for nus. That obviously doesn't really make much sense according to the pashut, the reading of it, right? So we're not chayshish in davar acher, which means that we're not chayshish that they slept with each other, but we're chayshish because it's nus. And then it says vein chayshish mishum kiddushin, and we're not chayshish that they did this for marriage. Okay, so the Gemara is going to ask immediately what exactly all that means. Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Yehuda, we're chayshish that they slept with each other for kiddushin. So when it says my kamar, what is this talking about? If we see that they had bia chayshish and mishum kiddushin, then we're chayshish that they got married, right? Meaning the reason why they got married is because the reason why they slept with each other is because they're getting married to each other. Nasan laksafim. But if we see him give her money, then chayshish mishum nus. Then we're going to assume the reason why he gave her money is because he was paying her to sleep with him, not for kiddushin. He gave it to her as her price for znus. And we're not chayshish for kiddushin. Even the money. So we're chayshish that it's for kiddushin, right? And Mamela he's giving it as a present, right? Yeah. So come on, Oslo, Aaron. Yeah, come on, Oslo. Hold on, Rav Barakano, Omar Rabbi Yochanan, Machlokes, Kisharu, Shadivala, right? When it's only machlokes when they saw them actually. This is going. I'm sorry. These are Kedama. The Mishnah later says Beisham of Hill have a machlokes if you see a couple that was divorced going into a hotel. So they have a machlokes. Are we chayshish that they're sleeping together or not? That's a machlokes Beisham of Hill. So Rav Chana says in Shem Rabbi Yochanan machlokes kisharu shenivala. That's only machlokes when we saw them having bia. Avaloiru shenivala. If we didn't see them having bia, divrei hakol. Ain't trichen emer get sheni. They don't need a get sheni, right? So who is that like? Meaning, who is the man domer here that we just said that we didn't see them actually having bia, right? So who's that like? Kiman k'divrei hakol. It's going like all shitas because we said here that if they don't see them having bia, then that they don't. There's no chashash of them getting remarried. That they got remarried. Maskala abai and midi ksafim katani. It's very nice he says it's pshat, but does it say in the brisa that he gave money? Right? If the brisa would be talking about giving money, it should have said it. Elamar Abaya, no. So Abaya says different pshat. This is what the brisa is saying. If we see that they had bia chayshish and mishum nus, we're chayshish because there's nus, and it's not for marriage. Vein chayshish and mishum kiddushin, we're not chayshish for kiddushin. He says, no, we are chayshish for kiddushin, right? So the Gemara says, so then if that's the case, come on, so So then who are they going like this that Rav Rachana says in Shemer of Yochanan Machlekes Kisharua Shenivela, that the Machlekes in Beishav V'Hillel is when they saw her having bia. So there's the Machlekes whether Chayshir was for marriage. But if we didn't see them have bia,
That means that when they see them having beer, that means they're in the room, not just going into a room.
It would have to be. I don't think it means mikol. I don't know if it's mikol b'shveiferes. Does it mean they have? It means mikol b'shveiferes.
I mean, it means
I
they
don't know.
actually
Do you
have to
need
be
it
in
to
the
be
room
that
at the
strong?
time. They have to be
Yes,
in the room at the
definitely have
time,
to
not
see
just
them.
seeing them go into the room.
Correct. They would have to see much more than just laying under the bed together. I don't know if they have to. Okay, Gershon is saying they need mikol b'shveiferes. Mikol b'shveiferes means like the makeup thing inside the. I mean, it's a muscle for actual intercourse.
I think the legal term is en flagrante or something like that. Like in flagrant.
I don't know.
I assume if they have bodies are together and they're not, I would assume that would be suffice.
Mikol b'shveiferes is very difficult. Mikol b'shveiferes is very difficult to get. To be Mechayim Misa, you need the Mikol b'shveiferes. Here, I don't know if Gershon is the same severity. All we're trying to do here is prove that they slept together and therefore that she needs another get. You know what I'm saying? We're not doing much more than that. Anyway, so the Gemara says, so that's Divrei HaKol. So Rav Rachanu says that everybody, both Beisham and Beis both agree that if they didn't see them having bia, that she doesn't need a get. She doesn't need another get. Come on. So then who's that like? That's going to be like Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Yehuda, that isn't going to be no Kiddushin. Right? Fine. Then Maskal Rabba doesn't like a Payat Shar either. Maskal Rabba, MK, my af. When you say af, when you say the Lashon of af, it means even here, so it's coming to say a Chumrah. Right? What was the Lashon again? Af, Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Yehuda says, af Chayshim Mishum Kiddushin, or even Chayshim Kiddushin. That means it's a Kula, not a Chumrah. Then what's a Pshat? Even if we didn't see her being Baal, right? Then we're Chayshim Kiddushin. Right? So now, Kiman Ozlos, and if that's the case, Kiman Ozlo, that the whole Machlokes in Beisham and Beis later on is when they see them actually sleeping together. If they don't see them having bia, then everybody holds that they don't need a get. So then, Kiman, who's that like? They're like Yechad. That's not like any of the Shitas, right? Because there we're saying that if they didn't see anything. So then you don't need he will not even need she doesn't need a second get. So by us, we're saying that we are going to be kosher for that. So therefore, according to the way Rabbi Bar Chana understands, it doesn't fit into any one of these prices. Okay, there's a lot of names and it's a little bit difficult. But yeah, so that's basically now the way we paskin, we do paskin that if the couple is together, then they do need a second get. God, I had that once. I wasn't sure how we paskin. That's how we know how we paskin. That the couple was together after they got divorced. And of course, I punted on it and I said, go back to the guy who did your get. And the fellow who did the get told him, yeah, you guys need another get. Now, maybe he had Negias because he wanted to make more money. I don't know. No, chas v'shalom, but yeah. But that's the way we paskin. But it's a sugya. It's a sugya later. Okay, we'll stop over here. I'm sorry for all the disturbances. All right.